What's the best fat to wrap your brisket with? Tallow and clarified butter, pork fat, or duck fat? I'm testing all three out in this video to see which one is best, so let's get smoking. It's very popular right now to use beef tallow for wrapping brisket, and I've done it for a long time. It helps add flavor and fattiness, and it helps coat the slices of the brisket so they have more of a perception of juiciness and tastiness in your mouth when you eat them. It also prevents oxidization of the brisket so they don't look as dry before you eat the slices. So I've been using tallow for a long time until I switched over to my preferred wrap juice, if you will, of 50-50 tallow and clarified butter. But viewers have been asking me to also experiment with other ingredients like duck fat and pork lard. And to be honest, I've never even tasted duck fat before, so I'm really interested to see what it'll taste like on brisket and what it'll just taste like in general in this video. So for this experiment, I'm starting with 3 choice grade briskets. I rubbed them with some of Malcolm Reed's Texas style brisket rub, which is pretty dang good. And then I smoked all 3 briskets on my Pits and Spits Maverick 1250. Now you're only seeing one brisket here because I cooked these briskets separately over 3 days using different pellets for a separate video that will come out later. But for each brisket, I smoked it super low overnight with a large water pan beneath it to give it some good smoke flavor and color. And then around 12 hours later in the morning, I probed it with my Chef's Temp Final Touch X10, and it was probing around 140 to 150. So I cranked the temperature up to 300 degrees to render the fat cap and continued to cook for another 2 to 3 hours until the brisket reached at least 190 degrees internal everywhere I probed. Then I wrapped each brisket. The first one got wrapped with my standard beef tallow and clarified butter 50-50 mixture. The second one was wrapped with pork lard that I rendered myself from pork butt trimmings, and the third brisket was wrapped in this duck fat that I purchased from Amazon. And again, I've never tasted duck fat before, so I'm really interested in how this is going to taste on brisket. Then I held all 3 briskets at 150 for about 6 hours until they were probe tender. Now, I did this over the course of 3 days, so on the first 2 days, I finished them and then I refrigerated them. And on the third day, when I actually did the taste test for this video, I took everything out of the fridge and I reheated everything to 150. It might conflate the results in respect of the tenderness of the brisket and other kind of qualities of the brisket, but I'm not too concerned about it because this test is more about the flavor of the fat and not really the tenderness of the brisket. So having said that, then I got ready for the taste test. But before we get to the taste test, I'd like to thank Chef's Temp for sponsoring this video. I've been using the Chef's Temp Final Touch X10 for almost a year now, and I'm really liking it for its super fast, accurate readings, its fully rotatable probe design, a magnet so I can easily stick it to my fridge or smoker, and maybe the best feature of all for me personally, a hold button so I can take a temperature and lock it in so I can actually pull it out of the smoker, look at it, or show it to the camera or other people. Super handy feature. It also has a large fully lit display, which is really handy in situations like this when it's dark out, which is usually when I finish my briskets. And it's also IP67 waterproof, which is great for washing off barbecue sauce and grease without any risk of harming it. It's also got a super long 3,000 hours of battery life, which means it'll last for years without a battery change. So if you guys want to take your barbecue game to the next level with a premium instant read thermometer, I highly recommend the Chef's Temp Final Touch X10. Click the link in the description section below and use code STBBQ15 to get 15% off any product on the Chef's Temp website, including the Final Touch X10. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, guys, I've unwrapped all of these briskets. I sliced them and I coated a couple of slices in the wrap juice that came out of the wrap. So we've got the duck fat brisket here, we've got the tallow and ghee brisket here, and we've got the lard brisket here. So I'm gonna start with the tallow ghee brisket because that's what I'm used to eating. It's a familiar taste to me. It's really buttery. It has a lot of beef flavor. That's why I use it on all my briskets. It's really tasty, and it just brings the brisket to that next level. The ghee, i.e. the clarified butter, really elevates the brisket, and the tallow is kind of in the background as just an extra boost of beefiness. Okay, now moving over to the lard wrapped brisket. I don't think I've ever wrapped a brisket in lard before, so this will be interesting. And I guess I kind of do have a little bit of the oil from the previous brisket slice on my hand here, so I'll try not to get that too much on the brisket slice. I really like that. I really like it a lot. It adds kind of like a bacony flavor in the background. It ties in a lot of the flavors of the brisket, interestingly enough. Just makes it taste richer. Yeah, it's more subtle than the tallow. The tallow is really beefy. It's a really forward beef flavor. This is more subtle. It's kind of bacony. It's porky, but you don't immediately notice that, oh, hey, this is pork lard on here. You don't get a lot of that porky flavor. You just get this nice hit of animal fats that really ties the brisket together. And it's just reminiscent of like a really good piece of meat. So it's kind of early to make a huge conclusion like this, but I'm thinking that I like lard better than tallow for wrapping briskets, just based on this. I think it would be really good if you wrapped it with lard and ghee 50-50 and just left the tallow out altogether. Okay, I'm gonna switch up my gloves here. And I'm just gonna cleanse my palate. I'm just eating a pretzel because I still have all those flavors in my mouth, so that's good, that got rid of it. Okay, moving on to the duck fat brisket. Let's take a slice of this. That's really good as well. That's a really nice flavor. I'm gonna take a taste of the point here. It's really tasty, ties in all the flavors perfectly. It's definitely an improvement over not adding anything. I don't really know if I like the taste of duck fat. It's got this kind of weird taste to me that isn't as good as the pork lard or the ghee or the tallow, but it's still really good. It's a very luxurious type of flavor, and I think you guys should definitely try it out if you're interested in it, but it didn't really blow me away. I thought that I would like the duck fat more, but I like the pork lard the best out of all three of these briskets in this video. So what I'm gonna do in the future is I'll probably add pork lard and ghee 50-50 and just leave the tallow out altogether. And I'll see how my family and friends like that. That has been the biggest takeaway for me in this video, but I'm interested to hear from you guys. What do you like wrapping your brisket with? Are you sticking with just the traditional kind of tallow? Are you using ghee? Have you tried lard before? Have you tried duck fat or any other types of fat? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm always looking for other experiments to do. And if you guys are looking at getting more involved in the Smoke Trails barbecue community, you can join my Patreon, where you'll get instant access to chat with me through a Discord chat server and access to a community of barbecue nerds that are really passionate about barbecue, just like myself. You can join the Smoke Trails Barbecue Nerds Facebook group. You can follow me on Instagram, where I'm trying to post some more stuff nowadays. Or you can just like and subscribe and drop a comment below. All of that is appreciated. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video, and happy smoking.